So we do the second time. I'm לדודי. I'm fine. The truth is that it's not really a mimer. It's more like a shim, very short, very short. Extremely the kids up. It's still very interesting to learn. So, okay, so we have I'm going to go find. I knew that the Shani, I knew that the so safe it tables that you the beginning is the Orshtevitz is El and the safe it tables that the 4 Yud. Amen. Yem Shemesh Baal, Kabbalah Chasachin, is these are the connected the 40 days Moshe was in the mountain to receive the last loch. There were special days, there were special days. This is why this 40 days from Moshe shelter and keep it. That's the days of Tshuva. Neshem Imeotz Lamaila. The special days Lamaila. That's when the Rebbe is that's when the Gilim Mitzach. That's what is the second half of the pasuk? Shani means the meaning of the learning halachas. What is the connection of these two parts of the pasuk? The first part talks about shiur. Second part talks about the What's the connection? So we start first learning, understanding the pasuk. What is the meaning of ata now? What are these two general concepts? That's the question. Pasuk says, we say in R'Dovid Olidort, the Rebbe you have Agdula, great Agdula is a Maisa Bereshis. Chazal say Agdula means Maisa Bereshis. The Agdula is Pashtus. Gdulos is why is Gdula Maisa Bereshis? The Agdula, who is Pashtus Gdulos in Bereshis Isav Sayomis. Gdula means the extension of the Eber's greatness to the creation of the world. The fact that there was a creation of an abundant number of creations, and the creations were big, huge. So this is the expression of the Eber's greatness. The dual is a masturbation. The Eber's greatness is expressed the creation of the world, which is Godla and Rabba. These are the Medrash Tinim al Pasuk Shemaim Savim Kut Keil. Says the Medrash Tinim Shemaim Savim Kut Keil. Marshal the Melach Shit from Medina. What is a Shemaim Savim Kut Keil? The heaven. Pasuk says in Tehillim, the heavens they tell us the glory of the Eber's. So the Marshal was the Medina. It's much like king came into play, came into dinner, Medina, city, country. And we don't know how strong he is. Or Malay, that's the Russian in the Marshal Medrash. From the tools that he uses to fight, that's how we know his greatness. From his tools, we know his greatness. The translations, the discussion of the rocks that he uses. It's the same way, I don't know the Eber's greatness, the fact that he created such huge.
Sorry, what's Miskoshish?
I think is the relation that he fights with. Like he uses rocks to fight. Let me know exact translation. Let's see.
So basically his weapons.
His weapons, yeah. But that's how I always thought shot, but some reason says Ma'avin. Let's see if this guy is. Goshish means, his weapons that he fights with, his weapons. But it says Avnin from the rocks. I don't know, maybe maybe those days, in other words, there's maybe a deal by Dafkarats. But the idea is that from his tools, from his weapons, we know his greatness. The problem with the weapon power with Marshall is Shemayim are not his weapons. It's fighting the Cha'er, Pashtus. Okay. So I'm sure that in the first of the Medrash explain why because the Medrash uses the concept of weapons. But the idea is that from his tools we see his great. Same thing from the Ebershter, the fact that created such a use, the heavens, Shemayim Sadgirel, Ma'asad Marakia. So from that we see the Ebershter's greatness. That's the simple, very simple shot. But Rabbi Chassidus looks at it much, goes into further. The Isavos him Shem Elikim, creation itself from Shem Elikim, like it says in Tanya, because in order for the world to be created, not that there should be an existence of something outside of Elikus. There needs to be a Tzimtzum Elikim. But that's Ikar Isav Hashem Havaya. But the ultimate Isav was really comes from Hashem Havaya. Like I mentioned the first time, he explained the Shaykh al-Ma'amunah that the creation of the world is really a combination of two opposite functions. On one hand, the actual creation, Ikar Isav Hashem Havaya, because the Hashem Havaya means expresses the Eibishter's infinite power. There's nobody, like it says, the only one that could create is the Eibishter. The concept of Yesh Ma'ayin doesn't exist in our realm. We don't know what it means. Anything we create is want something made out of something, not of nothing. We can do major improvements. We can even make an atom bomb, but it's still from something. Everything we human beings can make is only made out of something. Shaykh's making something out of nothing. Something very it's a huge. It's an expression of his ultimate infinity. At the same time, in order for creation to actually happen, there must be a concealment of the Eibishter, because without the concealment, creation wouldn't exist, because it will feel its source into a bottle. That's how the Alter Rebbe explains it in the Shaykhut V'Emunah. The Mele, so what does it mean now? So the Havaya and Elikim work together, but who is the ultimate source of creation? Is Havaya. Now, it's impossible for that to actualize without Shem Elikim, without the concealment. If there is soft, if the Koyach HaMahara would be these galus, creation wouldn't happen. So it needs to be a combination of both. So that's what he says here. There are Ikar is Hashem Havaya, but they Shem Elikim, Ikar Gdulas Havaya. It turns out that the greatness of Havaya, the fact that Eibishter could create Yesh Ma'ayin, can only be seen, can only be revealed through the Helm of Shem Elikim. Because of God Lavaya Be'er Elikim. Just said that they have the power to create, that's Gdula. Gdula, that's the expression of his ultimate greatness. But how is that being expressed? Dafka Be'er Elikim, to Shem Elikim. The Havaya is Artus Pshuta, because Havaya itself is Artus Pshuta. It's pure, infinite, abstract, and unity. There's no differentiation. There's only one being. The EF is so from that aspect, if it was Galus, can be Savas and Evoid, but it's Halkus to be Evoid that feel separate beings and they're divided. The Abe says, Kima, they shall Kim Kanai. I can, like I said, creation be actualized only through Shem Elikim. And then you can go do the Savai. Until that, the Elikim allows us to recognize the greatness of Havaya. The what we call him here, I already mentioned a little. The what we call it basically starts a new point. He starts to make a new point here, but another point. So until this point, he said Gedula, the Eibishter's greatness, and the special Shem Havaya. But he says The truth is, he says, even the Gdula we just mentioned all along, it's really that itself, the fact that he creates, which is an expression of his ultimate being, his ultimate infinity, that itself is really something not unimportant to him, from his perspective. When do we act, not just, in other words, till this point, there's a Nika Gdula Savai. That Alikim, the Gdula of the Eibishter is Nika only to Alikim. But the truth is more than that. That the idea of Gdula doesn't exist before Alikim. The Gdula Zu Shayechas B'Koyach B'El Alikil Avos and Avoid. The fact that it's called Gdula, the fact that it's recognized as something great, that itself is only in the world of Halikim. Not only, in other words, he took us a step further. The first step was how do we the Gdula can be expressed only in the Halikim. But it's more than that. The only concept, even to be called Gdula, to be called that it's great, the fact that we look at it as great is that itself is only in the world of only there is Elikane, only after there is a hell investment, because the Eibishter's perspective from Havaya, it is in a Tevis Malkum Klal. That's what Chazal say, in the place of his greatness, he sees humility, right? Because she's a shiftless. Really, this entire process of creation, even the Gdula of creation, that for us it's Gdula, from his perspective, it's really a descent, shiftless. Because this power to create is only a radiance, and it's not even, doesn't have any significance. And because of that, from the Eibishter's perspective, the Eibishter is not changed through the act of creation. Because his name, even his name is Levade. Only the Hoid, which is the expression, the radiance, Ziv, a ray. Ziv Levade. Only the lowest Madrega, which is the Spashas, and the Spashas is only the Metzius, not the Melus. And the Gamla Melus is Spashas. The Metzius, what level is creating the world, much lower Madrega. Metzius is Spashas. Zel Lechavaya Gdula, and that is Melus in another part of the past. Lechavaya Gdula. What's Lechav? That made us a Gdula, Tofel, Bottle. It's like a douche that the Chassidus always uses, like im chalecha pakti lecha, which means, which means that this aspect of Gdula is really bottle, tough, it's really insignificant. Kamal that mashals, we have a mashal that. Mashal diba adam, for example, when a person speaks, Shabbat legabe level alev. But it's totally, but it's insignificant compared to the Hevel Aleph, to the actual, what do we call it? Here it comes out from the heart, which is the inner part of the Dibur. Even more compared to the emotions. Similarly, when the Eibishter created the world, that Dvar Melech Shilton, like Bidvar Hashem Shemayim Nasa, creation, the Shilton, the Eibishter's ruling of the world, the creating of the world is from Dvar Avai, from the speech. The Sav Ascendant of the Dibur Elyon, that the creation of the world is really from the level of Dibur Elyon. So it's not Tev's Mak. We may ask the Ba'elam, the Sav Seichel Midas. The Ba'elam is the Poel, I mean, the Ba'elam is created, they also have it in its Seichel Midas. Calls Zai Sav from his Dibur, but still, everything's from the Dibur Elyon. Conversion Dibur Elyon, Tev's Mak, Tev's Mak. So that's the statement we made, that the Gdula, even the Gdula is not Tev's Mak. Shem Shu Ba'ilum is Biyah. So similar to the way we described it in our universe. In the Ba'ilum is Biyah. Come it's outside the soul from Chess. That's from Chess Adir the Machzak. In a more subtle way, similarly, we say that even the Esas sphere is Biyachas to Ak is also only from Dibur of Machzak. Because relative to Ak, Esas sphere is also an expression of something very external. So that explains another famous explanation of Chassidus. Why? So the world is created, the standard line, lush in the sources is yesh ma'ayin. The world gets something from nothing. See, the Insof yesh amiti. What is yesh ma'ayin? The yesh it's from the Eibishter. The Eibishter is not ayin. The Eibishter is not only the Eibishter yesh. It's the yesh amiti. It's the real thing. So why do you say yesh ma'ayin? Something from nothing. Should say something from something which is real. Something instant. So that is the same point he made before. The what ayin means that this koyach haliki, which created the world, is really ayin. It's not Tefes Makom Gab Eibishter. So Zenik ayin, which ain't Tefes Makom. So that's the point we made. But Gdula, L'chova Gdula, it's ain't Tefes Makom. Not only that, not only is it not Tefes Makom, in the Or Gufa, there are two parts. The way let's go like the sun, the light coming out of the sun, it's also not Tefes Makom Yachas to the sun, but the light within the sun it sees cloud, like that's the marshal he said in. It's going to bring it come in. The marshal says Shaykh al and the same thing they get to Dibu. It's not only is Ein Shein Tefes Makom, but it's really non-existent. The Dibu, when the speech before the person orders the speech, when it's still within his heart, doesn't exist. It's only in the state of potential. That's what Ein. The north of Kamoizi Hashemesh, Moshe Beguf Hashemesh. So when the Ziv Hashemesh, the Guf Hashemesh, then it's that's not only is it not Tefes Makom, so how does not existence? Like if I remember, we learned the whole deal to try to remember the way the oil keys within the oil. I'm sorry, the marshal, the oil within the shemesh. Ain't sees cloud. Not just so how that doesn't exist. There's no oil. There's no oil. Only in that place where the sun doesn't exist. Outside of the sun, he uses an interesting description. This description is a little not standard, but the point is that outside of the shemesh, where the shemesh doesn't exist, other difference with seals, then we can still.
What does it mean, mistalik? Mistalik azaziv.
Shemistalik goes on the shemesh. Keshe'ene mei gufa yashemesh kame. Shemistalik kame. The day shemesh is mistalik azaziv mitzias. Then the ray is a mitzvah. Okay. They just have to have just a few comments here. Let me have the comments here. Okay. So similarly, in our nimshal, the Dawali keys the way it is. Should Tzimtzum Atzme and Kaviyachal and surface happen Shaloya Begillah Rav and these are these are all the keys that comes out that's the energy that creates the world really doesn't even exist within the way it's in the mock. Only to the Tzimtzum we have all that exists. That just like in the Shemesh, that's why I use the Lashon Shemistalik, because in the Nimshal there's the tzimtzum that makes the in the regular language, other Another place in Chassidus, like I said, this mime was written very, very bekitzer. It's like I said, the era kav in the language of the standard language of Chassidus. The era kav can only be created after there's a tzimtzum. That's going to be the regular language. Here he uses very little a different type of language. The ha'or, which is the ha'or is mitzias only to the tzimtzum. So that is this meaning of the statement that the Gdulos and the Nushar, they are novish, but it's not similar to the loss. So the Gdula is a Maisa Bereishis, not just those Maisa Bereishis, the Gdula, which means the Kainel and Koyach HaLeiki to create, it only exists only to Anbasanuse, to the Tzimtzum. Shalgabe, so another point, that should is from the Eibish's perspective, Tzimtzum and Eimayim Klal. From the Eibish's perspective, even after the Tzimtzum, everything is bought. Eimayim, like Gaben Yivoim. Gam Gabayah is a man. Okay, Yeshmai. So that's again Nik Yeshmai, that's why it's called Yeshmai. All right, so we finished describing, so this point to finish describing the way what is the creation bichlal is in a way that it's a result of a tzimtzum, and that is the goal of my situations. In order for the tzimtzum to be created, and in order for the tzimtzum to happen, first time, that's because the source of the Leila. That came as an Isaiah Milamayla, which means that the Eibishter is own Kaviyachol made it tzimtzum. But now, after the fact, each fact that tzimtzum is still there, it's a result of our avodah. Gam, that's number one. So he's going to continue later that there are really two parts. So the two things that our avodah achieves. Number one, the fact that it seems, which means the fact that the gedula, the creation, continues to exist is a result of our avodah. If the avodah would not be no avodah, so everything will be undone. Our avodah has to bring about the tzimtzum. The gam, another point that our avodah achieves. The commercial goes so about tzimtzum. Kenya gam lachar tzimtzum. So it's interesting. So our avodah actually has to do two. Both. Number one, to our avodah, the amshach of the keys, the gedula, the anvasanusa is a result of our avodah. And what's more than that, our ultimate avodah is to be mamshech in this world, which is created to the tzimtzum, to be mamshech in such a lifnei tzimtzum. The both of them are a result of our avodah. The share shamshach milamar gilui shlifnei tzimtzum. Sharisa or shen tzimtzum. Tzarich lisamshach mas atzusay l'sof. So that is what our avodah is. So who has the power to achieve both of these amshachas? That's only neshamas itself. Only we neshamas have the power to bring about both of these things: the tzimtzum and the amshachas agila shalifnei tzimtzum. The neshamas see because about neshamas the pasuk says about ipar ba'apar nishmas chai. So it says in time in the beginning of Perek Beis that the shenav shenis will be so come amal mamish because of ipar ba'apar nishmas chai. Stam der Hagav, that's the famous question that's always asked. The pasuk talks about Adam Rishon. So why is it neshamas is soul? The Rebbe brings in the Os and Tanya from Kabbalah. It says like in Kabbalah, Adam Rishon originally before the Chet, he was also in the state of his soul. only because of the chet, only of the chet etzadas, the result of the etzadas, he became also the father of that part of humanity, which is not Neshamas soul. But originally, that was the plan, that he was supposed to be, his soul was Adam Arish. Remember, that brings it from Kisra Arizal. So that explains why the pasuk Rebbe said that should be soul, which goes about Ipar Ba'avin Sheschaim, which talks about Adam Arish. The Haggard is to clarify it. So what does it say? The man them know
it was undone the level of being a yid by him.
Yeah, in other words, through the fact that he sinned, so what happens is his descendants were not eaten until Abraham came.
Wow.
No, I don't think he himself changed, but his descendants. I think that's what it says.
Well, it became like a mummer or something, but even that.
No, in today's day and age, impossible. It cannot become a goy, but I don't. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Okay, that's the answer. All right. Man and Nafar Tegen Nafar, Nafar. That's what the Altar brings the Tanya. Man and Nafar Tegen Nafar. That's the Ipach. When you blow from the inner being. Which means what is the meaning of this Nafar? What does it mean? So it's a very visual type, very megushamtic way of looking at it. Really, it means something. It means the Shesh and the Neshama is asking so both. The Neshama comes from the inner, from the ultimate essence of the Eibishter. Yodel Martin is actually good for him. Shem Mutzoim Sheal the Eibishter. See, this Neshama is descended in the world, and they're enclosed in bodies. The two them will be down. This time shachas mentioned earlier. Number one, the tzimtzum itself, the deishiat tzimtzum. Now also lam shakil itself shalifnetz. Zeo shekosov. So now we go back to the pasuk you mentioned earlier. We brought earlier. The ma'ima ba'at islam malal ken shalmimach kim le'ir lach. These two parts I just mentioned. Number one, the Amshacha, that's with the Tzimtzum. Number two, the Shalvi, the Amshacha himself shall live near Tzimtzum. So that's really Merumas in these two parts of the post. The Ira and Alechas Gedor. And that's going to develop. That's the capital. Now he's going to develop this entire past. In it, see, to live next to Avodim Avodai Hate. It's a famous pasuk. Kilim neisal avodim. We are the Ebsha says neisal amai avodim. Servants avodai hey. The second time avodai. Why did it say twice? So he's explaining in a minute. Indian avdos v'sheres lamato. What does it mean? Avdos v'sheres lamato. The concept of service in our physical world lamato. Who share mashna masad, the servant fulfills what the other is missing. The other is missing things, and the servant brings it to him. This concept that the servant fulfills the needs of the master. The master can't achieve it. The servant can say that in the mashal, in the nimshal. The other shlamos of the kolah. The Eibishter is the ultimate perfection. He doesn't need anybody to help him achieve anything. So what does it mean we are the Eibishter's servants? What is it servants for? So he uses a word here which doesn't I don't know what that we can say. It's a very it's like almost a mystery word. Yas, I'm not sure what yas means. But in other places of Chassidus explains basically that it's. I mean, it answers this concept. What do you mean? The Eibishter needs servants to fulfill his mission. He's perfection. He doesn't need any. Now what? They showed in Yasa and in Nisham Shach says that Nisham Avdus Nisham So the answer, the answer upon him conceptually, the answer is
Yasim is he should do, right?
Yeah, I don't know what
He should
do what.
Right.
He should fulfill what he wants, I guess. The Eibishter wants to achieve something, and he wants we should be the ones to do it to him. Not that without us he can't achieve it. He wants we should be the ones to do it. That's the only way I can say it. The Shia Amshachas with the Amshachas we just mentioned before, the two Amshachas, Amshachas, that is achieved to our avoid. So it's like a little modern because the question and the answer don't match. The question is, he's perfect. What's the answer? The answer is, he's perfect. He doesn't need us, but he chose to use us as his tools to achieve what he wants. I think that's the way. That's the answer. Remember, there was all the controversy. I don't know if you guys heard about it. Like man is constantly talking about that God needs us. You heard about it? Yeah, man. You heard about this?
Yeah. I heard about it. Yeah.
God needs us, and everybody's angry at him. What do you mean, God needs us? God needs us. So you see here in this man, he has this question: God needs us. What do you mean, God needs us? And the answer
so what was the other opinion?
What?
What's the other opinion against Manas?
God needs us? Really? God is
needs us.
I understand what's the pull. Manas is not a person who comes up with new concepts in Judaism. He's trying to make the point, which says this also, that the Eibishter says, I want you to achieve it, which is true. But the question is how to say it. I think the way he said it's a little too needs us as if like
he has needs.
It's a matter of nuance. It makes needs. He gives a much. God needs us like the wife needs you to do something for. It's a little too.
No, he set up this way that now in this setting he needs us. I mean, he could have done it other ways, but he did it this way. But right now, I mean, there's no angels in Malachim on the earth, so there's no one else to do it except us.
He set up the system in a way that he needs us, but it doesn't mean that yeah, okay. So that's a little subtle, but you can see even in this mimer, there's a very strong question. The answer is not clear. Okay, but like I said, we're gonna go with that shot, like we just said, that he created the world in a way that he wants the achievement of what he wants should be to us. So that's the avdus. That means service. Our service fulfills what he wants. So why does it take twice? Avodim and avodai. I asked the question before, but you only got it now to the question. Why it says twice? Avodim. I should say says a mitzvah. Why does the person say twice? Because yes, shnei pchinas evet. Which really, I think, the way, if I understand correctly, this is like the two things he said earlier. The two things that we achieve. Number one, that seems to me, so this is a little sad, and the ultimate purpose, both of them are to our avoid, but that's the Torah avoid. She has basically 7. There is this process. There is the the simple servant whose goal is to do very simple tasks, low grade tasks. The marshal means that it's a type of task that it's not it's below the dignity of the master to do it himself. Like I said, Chassidus and even the Rambam and the Bukham always somehow uses this concept of chopping woods. That's an example of something which is below the dignity of the master himself. So that's a simple servant who performs a task that's below the dignity of the master. The master wouldn't do it himself, so he has that's one type of eved. So that second one's eved only. So one of the ways that eved is described, one is eved partial, and the other one is eved only. He's a poor person. He's a poor person who needs the salary, needs the pay. So that's why he's willing to do a low grade type of test, like Chativa says. So we made this Eved is Eved only. Base, then there is also that a different type of servant. Eved Shaisam Melachat Shadim Yasaisim. Eved who just does things for the master. The master, it's not something that's below the dignity of the master. The master himself would have done it. But he helps him out. He does it for him. Kamoi, so the marshal in the world of the marshal of the world where this marshal was created, there is Nekivas Magoris on the Davis, it said yesterday that this idea of polishing diamonds, some reason, not maybe it's Nekivas, like we make holes in the pearls to make the chain. And Kalkaponim, any general work that relates to gems, to precious stones, that's something which is not below the dignity of the master. And more generally, general business, don't do big business. That's something that the master is also capable, not just capable. It's not below the dignity of the master to do it, but he lets his servant do it for him. So there's a difference. Avodim stam, avodaihim, avdoi. Should bring koima other. So this type of eved bring koima other. It's not that he does something that other himself would have done because it's not below his dignity. But he does it. So that's two types of servant. But dugum is the yuvan. Mashkosav is zayah. Sheyesh kama madrigas eved. So the nimshal is the two madrigas eved. So I think what he's talking about here. Remember in Samachrov, this marshal, the two types of volume in Samachrov, there's a huge part, the Mikna, where he talks about these two types of avod. Over there, he calls it Evet Pashat and Evet Neman. In our Maimer, he doesn't use the word Evet Neman, but he uses a different. He uses the Lashon Evet Oni by the first one. He doesn't specify it, but I would say it means that the contest to the Eved Oni is the Eved Osher. In other words, the first Eved was willing to do low-grade work. Why is he willing to do it? Because he's poor, so he needs the pay. So he'll do something which is below his dignity. Mashenk and the Eved Osher, he's not really poor. The fact that he's a servant is not because he's poor and he must have the money. He does it because he wants to do it. So it's Eved. So that's what it says. The two types of Eved, two types of servants, and so I think it's Eved only an Osh. What does it say? Again, Tefillah David Atei Oznecha Atei Oznecha Kioni ve'Evin Oni. So in the Zohar, he says it's really it's also the famous Mamar from the Rebbe about it. Tefillah Moshe, Tefillah Osher, and Tefillah Oni. There are two types of tefillah. So there's Osher and Oni. So the pasuk says in the capital, saying the Tachnon, Tefillah on Tefillah. What does it say? Tefillah David Atei Elai Oznecha Kioni. What is the last? Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'm going to forget the possible. A second. And then it says, the next pasuk says, so the way the Zohar understands it, that these two psukim talk about two madrigas and Eved. The first Eved is Oni ve'Evin, and then it's Oni ve'Evin Oni. The second one is Kechosid Oni, Oisha Avdecha. So the word Avdecha says only in the second, but it's really two types of, not only that, it's Avdecha, like it says Avodai, what you just said before. So that's what is Medaikim. There's the higher level of Eved, like the Madaikim Magolias, that's Avdecha. If there's a number only for Eved, period.
Where is this possible? Where do we say it?
We say it in no?
It's in the Siddur.
Tachnon,
All right. Okay. Yeah.
So that's we say it. We say it a few times a day, but for some reason it doesn't. So what is it? Okay, so we finish with this passage, but it's going back to what we said earlier. Like I said earlier, we have the two. Remember a few lines earlier. It says Shesh. I'm sorry. So there's two Amshachas. No Amshachas. Amshachas early Sabbath. So Gam Dachas Hakavon. Amshachas is soft. Right. So now he goes back. These are the two avodim. It says only so the first Madrigan Eved, that's the Eved who brings the Madrigan, the Gilur Likus, which is Lavis Islands, which is what you said earlier, and Vasalus. So that fits the marshal. He said in the marshal that it's a type of work that he does that below the dignity of the master to do, right? Like Chativa says. So what is it in the Nimshul? The Einish is the Yerida Ashpal, the Lav Ocha, the Lav Ocha, the Malkal Ishtem, the Dieta. The concept of creating the world is really below his dignity. So that's something that's achieved to the Eved who is Oni. Yeah, the Eved Amamshal also like Eved Oni, a Baal Schor. So that Eved is called the Oni, which does his work in order to get his pay, which is it's a low level. Hagam, okay, that's another point we said yesterday. The Hagam, he starts and he doesn't really answer. Hagam dal tiyuka avodim shamsat rav shalom am not cover class. What we just said that the oni in the mushroom. In the Nimshul, the Onin is the Eved who's doing the Avodah. The Kabbalah Schar, the Chal says, that really our Avodah should be not the Kabbalah Schar. So why do we stay in the marshal? The Eved Oni does work to get paid. That's not the proper goal that you want to achieve. The Avodah has to be shalom as class. So the answer, there's no clear answer. The answer is that schar over here doesn't really mean pay. Like in the marshal, you do something and you get paid. In the nimshal, that itself, what you do, this is the pay. Okay, but all right, we'll take it further after Yom Tov, Sunday next. Okay. Yom Shabbos, Yom Tov.
Tomorrow Saturday, Simcha Penemius.
Amen. Come on.